Welcome to the North American Animal Law Conference, a collaboration between the Canadian Animal Law Conference Scholars Track and the Brooks Institute for Animal Rights Law and Policy.
China's regulatory resources are very limited because China's regulatory resources have to be used to regulate livestock industry, because that industry serves the majority of the 1.4 billion people. So would be, unthinkable for the Chinese authority to pool those resources already very limited, right? From regulating livestock industry to regulate the wildlife industry, because that was tiny and served the rich and the powerful, right? So I think if the Chinese government can, outlaw wildlife trade completely and dog meat trade, there is little political repercussion.
So the basic idea here is simply that we need to, in addition to the universal rights for all sentient animals, different groups of animals need differentiated rights or relational rights to help them have the kind of relationships that they want to have with humans, which in some cases may involve quite close, intimate, cooperative relations, or may, on the contrary, involve the desire to remain as far away as possible.
What drives mass incarceration? Why is the animal movement complicit? It's a set of logics and discussion and talking points and PR that focuses on the idea that we will make ourselves safer, that we will protect our communities through more incarceration. Right? This is fundamentally what all the research has shown drives mass incarceration. It's not any one set of crimes. But we can walk through the rhetoric the animal movement has used over the years and through 2021 about super predators, about the link, about the need to protect our communities from animal abusers, all without ever studying whether we're reducing animal crime or what these animal abusers sort of demographic makeup is. So it is possible to imagine another way.
The management of animals in this space of stark commodification, the way the space itself is designed to facilitate efficient containment and movement, the tools involved in daily auction practices, these dimensions of the auction are central to an analysis of the nature of commodification of animal bodies and lives.
The fundamental question of how non-human animals should be conceptualized and recognized within the legal system as forms of property in line with the way they traditionally have been understood, as moral or legal persons, the way many theorists and advocates would rather see them understood, as non-human beings entitled to their own distinctive status, or as embedded subjects that cannot be properly understood except in their relational, political, and historical contexts.
I had concluded that rights are the only way that protect the fundamental interests of a non-human animal, and in a way that has been true for millennia for human beings, and that animal welfare work was actually a menace to being able and harmed and makes it harder for us to attain legal rights and personhood for non-human animals.
When we talk about animals' legal status as the driver of animal exploitation, we adopt a frame that encourages us to consider all animal exploitation together. And when we do that, we risk missing a lot of the realities and details that shape legalized animal exploitation in practice. My main contribution has been to suggest that we give too much attention to the question of status. If we really want to counter the erasure of animal subjectivity in law, it's crucial that we adopt analyses and tell stories that center actual animals. What is happening to them? Why? How it hurts, how law participates, and how legal change might help. Conversations about legal status can do some of this work, but it cannot do it all.
The theory that personhood, while far preferable to property, is not as animal friendly as we might think, because it's just too tethered to the principles of legal humanism. So as elusive as the personhood concept is, and despite its multiple conceptualizations in the common law, I suggest that more often than not, the concept is tethered to a certain idealized vision of what it means to be human. Personhood is animating a paradigmatic human that most of us cannot emulate at some point in our lives, and some of us may not be able to emulate at any point.
I maintain that all sentient beings have one right. We should accord them one moral right, and that is the moral right not to be used exclusively as resources. If, however, we recognize that one right, we have to not regulate animal exploitation, but abolish it. We should not be promoting, in my judgment, humane exploitation, single-issue campaigns. We should be exploiting abolition, and the means to the end of abolition is promoting veganism strongly, clearly, unequivocally.
I have put forward the idea of a quasi-property, quasi-personhood status to provide a way of characterizing an in-between third path that is both descriptively accurate and will be easier for courts and perhaps others to adopt. The idea here is that yes, non-human animals are property, but they're special property with rights and interests.